One bucket, 5 minutes to set it up. 48 hours later, you have double the protein you started with. That sounds impossible, doesn't it? You've been told protein needs land, money, and time. Big farms, heavy machines, long growing seasons, months of waiting. You've been taught that real protein comes from wide soybean fields or from animals that take years to raise. But what if that belief is incomplete? When NASA searched for the most efficient food to grow in space, they tested crops from around the world. One tiny floating plant stood out. It grew faster than expected. It produced more protein than almost anything else they studied. Meanwhile, in northern Thailand, families have eaten this same plant for centuries. They call it eggs of the water. No fields, no tractors, just still water and a simple container. So why does almost nobody in the West grow it? Two reasons explain that. One has to do with water. The other has to do with what we've been told about where protein must come from. By the end of this video, you will know the exact 5-minute setup that turns any bucket into a protein factory. The Thai secret that never left. In small villages in northern Thailand, this plant was never strange. It was normal. Grandparents harvested it from quiet ponds the same way others harvest herbs from a garden. They used wooden buckets, simple nets, no large fields, no fertilizer contracts, no trucks delivering inputs every month. They called it Kai Nam, which means eggs of the water. When you see it fresh, floating in clusters of tiny green spheres, the name makes sense. It looks delicate, almost fragile, but it fed families for generations. Children watched their grandparents skim it from still water in the morning. By afternoon, the surface looked full again. It did not require acres of land. It did not demand heavy labor. It simply grew. While industrial farming in the West expanded into bigger machines, bigger loans, and bigger risks, these villages kept using a bucket and sunlight. They never needed to rediscover the plant because it never left their kitchens. That quiet cultural proof matters. If something feeds families for centuries, it is not a trend. It works. The plant that breaks biology rules. The plant is called duckweed. In Thailand, one common species is Wolfia globosa. It is one of the smallest flowering plants on Earth. Each piece is smaller than a grain of rice. Some look like tiny green dots floating on water. If you scoop a handful, it feels soft and light, almost like living dust. But what makes duckweed different is not its size. It is how it grows. Duckweed does not rely on seeds the way most crops do. It reproduces by cloning itself. One tiny frond splits into two. Then those two split again. Under good conditions, it doubles its mass every 48 to 72 hours. In some controlled studies, certain species have grown even faster. Now compare that to soybeans, which need about 90 days before harvest. Compare it to cattle, which take 18 months or more to reach full size. Duckweed multiplies in days, not seasons. You can place a thin layer on water, walk away, and by the time you remember you started it, the surface has filled in. It grows before you remember you planted it. The protein numbers that shouldn't exist. Now let's look at the numbers because this is where it stops sounding normal. Duckweed contains between 20 and 45% protein by dry weight, depending on the species and growing conditions. Beef is around 26% protein. Eggs are about 13%. Soybeans average around 36% on a good day. In a 24 study, one species called Lemna gibba reached about 45% crude protein. That puts it at the top of most common food sources. But protein amount is not the only thing that matters. The quality matters too. Duckweed contains a complete amino acid profile. That means it has all essential amino acids the human body cannot produce on its own. In several studies, its amino acid balance met or exceeded international nutrition standards. Then researchers compared land use. Across multiple agricultural reviews, duckweed has shown protein yields above 2,000 kilograms per hectare per year under strong conditions. Soybeans produce roughly 300 kilograms per hectare per year. Corn produces even less protein per hectare. In simple terms, the surface of a small pond can produce more usable protein than an entire soybean field. That sounds impossible until you see the math. Why it vanished in the West. So if the numbers are real, why did this plant fade from Western attention? First, it looks like pond scum. Western agriculture values size and beauty, tall cornfields, red tomatoes, golden wheat. Duckweed is tiny. It forms a thin green layer on water. It does not look impressive. Most people walk past it without a second thought. Visual bias is powerful. If it does not look like food, we assume it is not. Second, it cannot be patented in its natural form. It reproduces by splitting in half. No seed company owns it. No one can lock it behind a yearly purchase contract. There is no expensive machine designed only to harvest duckweed from a bucket. Third, modern food systems rely on complexity. They depend on long supply chains, storage centers, processing plants, and middlemen. A plant that grows itself in a container removes many of those layers. If you appreciate practical knowledge like this, the kind that puts control back in your hands, consider subscribing. We focus on solutions that are simple, proven, and often hidden in plain sight. NASA and space research validation. Interest in duckweed did not stay in villages. It reached space research labs. When scientists began planning long-term missions, they needed food that could grow in small spaces with very little input. Fields were impossible. Soil was limited. Every square inch mattered. Duckweed stood out because it grows on the surface of water, not in deep soil. It doubles in days, not months. That speed makes it ideal for closed systems where food must renew itself quickly. Researchers also found that duckweed contains antioxidants such as lutein and zeaxanthin. These compounds help protect cells from damage, which is especially important in high radiation environments like space. Studies connected to space health research quietly confirmed what traditional communities already knew. Duckweed is one of the most protein-dense plants available, and it grows efficiently under controlled light. That scientific validation adds credibility. It is not folklore, it is tested, measured, and documented. The 5-minute bucket setup. Now here's the simple setup. This is where everything becomes real. Start with a container that is wide and shallow. A 5-gallon bucket works well. A plastic storage bin is even better because it gives you more surface area. Duckweed only grows on the surface of water, so width matters more than depth. Fill it with about 3 inches of water. That is enough. More water does not mean more growth. For water, rainwater is excellent. Pond water is ideal if it is clean. If you use tap water, let it sit overnight so chlorine can evaporate. The pH should be between 6 and 7.5. Most household water already falls within this range. Now add nutrients. Fish tank water works perfectly because it contains natural nitrogen from fish waste. If you do not have that, dilute a balanced liquid fertilizer to about 1/5 of the recommended strength. Only a small amount is needed. Too much can harm the plants. Next comes your starter. Add enough duckweed to cover about 10 to 20% of the surface. Even 1 tablespoon is enough to start a bucket. Spread it gently across the top. Place the container in bright, indirect light for at least 6 hours a day. A sunny window works. A shaded patio works too. Ideal temperatures range from 60 to 90 degrees Fahrenheit. Then walk away. Within 48 to 72 hours, the coverage will double. By day 5, the surface may look full. To harvest, skim off about half with a small net or strainer. Leave the other half to keep multiplying. That is the cycle. Harvest, regrow, repeat. How to use it. Once you harvest duckweed, you can use it in simple ways. Fresh duckweed can be added to smoothies, mixed into soups, or folded into omelets. Its taste is mild and clean, so it blends easily with other foods. Always rinse it well with clean water before eating. If you want to store it, spread it in a thin layer on a tray and let it dry in a shaded, well-ventilated place. Once fully dry, grind it into a fine green powder. Remember, dried duckweed is much more concentrated than fresh. A small spoonful of powder contains a strong dose of protein. Duckweed is also excellent for animals. Chickens eat it readily, especially when mixed with regular feed. Many backyard keepers report deeper orange egg yolks within weeks. Fish such as tilapia can receive duckweed as part of their diet, helping reduce feed costs. Livestock like ducks and rabbits also handle it well. Fresh or dried, it becomes a flexible protein source for both people and animals. This is where the real shift happens. You do not need acres of land. You do not need tractors, seed contracts, or storage silos. You do not need to wait for planting season or pray for the right weather. You need a container, water, and a small starter. Tea no longer depends on fields you do not own or supply chains you cannot control. It grows at home. It renews itself in days. It responds to sunlight, not stock markets. That changes something deeper than your grocery bill. It gives you control. It gives you independence. It turns protein from a product you buy into something you produce. And once you see that shift, it is hard to go back to thinking the old way. The realization. Thai grandmothers knew this long before research papers were written. They harvested it from quiet ponds and fed their families without calling it a superfood. Decades later, NASA confirmed what they already understood. This tiny plant grows fast, feeds efficiently, and fits into small spaces. It was never rare. It was never locked away. It was floating in plain sight. Now you know. So here's your step. Set up one bucket this week. Give it 5 minutes. Then watch what happens in 48 hours. Set up your bucket and test it for yourself. Watch it double. Harvest it. Use it. Then come back and share your results in the comments so others can learn from your experience. If you want more simple systems like this that put real control back in your hands, make sure you subscribe. And watch the next video on your screen, because it shows how to scale this even further.